Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Adam here with Indie Farm Life. Today I want to share with you guys a major update that's forthcoming for the pond. And I think it's safe to say that I am as excited about what's going to happen for the pond here in the next month or two as I was on the day we broke ground and the day we finished it. And so you ask yourself, what could be better than that? Well, what if that was actually full for the first time in forever? Isn't that a Disney song? In the next few weeks, we are going to be drilling a well and dropping in a solar-powered well pump from RPS solar pumps. Guys, this is gonna change everything. So we're gonna walk around, talk a little bit about the plan, a little bit about RPS solar pumps, and all the other projects that this is actually going to kick off for me. So if you are new to the channel and have not seen this pond before, this pond was dug in the summer of 2019. It is a fully excavated pond, meaning there is no dam, and we have no stream or tributary feeding it. It's effectively a big cereal bowl sitting in the middle of about 5 acres or so. And with no stream feeding this pond, we didn't expect it to fill overnight, but by now I had thought it would at least have been full. So I'm gonna walk over here and show you guys our current water level, the high water level, and why this pump and this well system is so important for us to have. So here we are over by the overflow. And as you can see here, I'm fighting a small algae bloom right now. If you take a look at the overflow, you can actually see where our high water mark was, right about where that rope wraps around there. That was achieved in May of 2023. Has not been that high ever since, and we see it move up and down quite a bit throughout the seasons. I don't have a tape on me right now, but I would venture to say that is every bit of 18 inches of water we need. And when you add 18 inches of elevation to this, it gets really big. You can see the dirt ring as to where the water really should be when full. And an inch acre of water is 27 some odd thousand gallons, and an acre foot of water is just under 326,000 gallons of water. So why are we drilling a well? Well, quite honestly, it's our only solution. There is a creek about 1,000 feet away or so, but I'd have to cross 2 of my neighbors' property to get to it. And then there's the whole, is it legal issue, and taking that up with the county or city. I'd much rather have a self-contained solution on my own property. We could have used the well and the pump at the house to fill the pond. However, I didn't want to overly stress the pump for the house. So that explains the well, but why the solar pump? Isn't that going to be really difficult to get to work? There's actually 2 answers to that question. One, I didn't want to pay the monthly cost associated with running a normal well pump. I already spent about 40 bucks a month running the air compressor for the pond. I didn't want to add additional electricity costs to the pond. And will solar produce enough power to actually get water to the surface? Absolutely. RPS has solar pumps that can pump up to 1,000 foot of head. That's crazy for a solar powered pump. So why RPS? Well, quite honestly, go to Google and search for solar powered well pumps and see who pops up. They are one of the most reputable brands in America when it comes to solar powered well pumps. Plus they are very DIY and user friendly. That's right up my alley. So the general plan is to drill the well somewhere here on the north end of the pond. There's a couple reasons for that. One is this is kind of the most gradual entrance into the pond. I'd like to build a little stream or kind of a creek, if you will, that's running into the pond just for aesthetic purposes. 2, I'd like to move the cold water from the well away from the beach so that you're not swimming in 49-degree well water. And 3 is because this is the north end of the pond. So we would need a good shot facing south to get the solar array to capture the most amount of sun. The well itself will likely be drilled somewhere in this vicinity, so we're pretty close to that entry point. And where the golf cart's sitting is roughly where the solar array will live. The well is yet to be drilled. I spoke with the well company last week. They came on site and we kind of talked about the plan, and they were actually very excited to hear about RPS and understand the process, and even want to actually come back potentially and help me drop the pump in when I get to that point. The well driller said he is very curious to see how this all comes together because they often get questions from their customers about this very thing. The customer wants to drill a well to fill their pond, but then they have no way to actually either power a pump or don't know a solar solution to get it done. The well for our house is about 100 feet past that barn, probably about 450 feet away from us right now. And at the time of testing, it produced 25 gallons a minute for an hour, and our static water level is 36 feet. When it came to sizing the type of well pump for this pond, RPS was very helpful, as was their website. On the low end, they had projected about 3,400 gallons of evaporation loss a day. And on the high end, it can be about 13.5. But on average, they said expect roughly 6,800 gallons a day for evaporation loss. Now that's here in central Indiana. Where you're at in the country may be wildly different, especially if you're out west. And I think the 6,800 for us is probably honestly quite high. It's always very difficult to tell when you get those July and August rains of 1.5 inches in about 20 minutes. So like I said, RPS was very helpful at helping size the pump for this pond. You know, if you go out and do it on your own and try to piecemeal it together, you could probably find a solar powered pump that would actually pump water, but how do you know what to get? These guys are experts and they do a great job at helping you understand what you actually need to achieve the goals in front of you. So like I said, the unit that is coming is a Pro 750M. This unit with the 16 100-watt solar panels will do about 200 foot ahead, and at 150 foot ahead, it'll do 14 gallons a minute. So if you figure we do 7 hours a day in the summertime anyway, of good sunlight on the panels, we should easily be able to keep up with evaporation loss. And 7 hours may be a very low number here, actually in the dead of summer. But at any rate, that coupled with the rains we get, there's no reason to believe that this pond shouldn't be full by the fall, especially when we have the option of likely setting our pump a little higher than 150 feet. The static water level for my house well is 36 foot. It's crazy to think that I'm going to be standing in almost 2 feet of water when this is full. You know, another nice benefit to drilling a well to fill your pond, there's a school of bluegill, is that if you had a pond that happens to leak from the bottom, Adam, Hometown Acres, I'm looking at you, then in effect you're recycling the water. In all likelihood, if you have water leaving the bottom of your pond, it's going to go back down in the aquifer. So effectively, you're pulling that water right back to the surface with your well pump. Not an issue for us because this is a giant cereal bowl full of clay. When they drilled my well at the house, they hit clay down to 175 feet, I believe. So no issues with water loss through the bottom of our pond, but something to consider if you're out west or in a more rocky environment and trying to keep a pond full. So this process, I'm going to break it down into a handful of videos. The next video you see regarding this project is going to be the well drilling. Those guys are coming out here in the next week or week and a half. They, like I said, they are very excited to be on board and part of this project. So to the extent you're in central Indiana, let me know and put you in touch with those guys if you want a well drilled. From there, we're going to set the scalable ground mount, which is the mount that holds the 16 solar panels. And then I'll make a video as we take the well pump and actually drop it down the well. The pump we are getting is made for a 4-inch casing. We're having a 5-inch one drilled just to have a little bit more wiggle room there. I could not be more excited to get this project started and be working with RPS. I know it sounds silly because it's just more water, but if you own a pond, you understand. It is going to completely change the look of this pond. You'll no longer be able to see the dirt ring around the edge of the pond, and you won't have to walk up to the pond to look down into it. The south bank of the pond sits just a little bit higher than the surrounding area because we did have to build it up a little bit to match grade on the other side. And so you'll be able to walk out here and just see it at eye level. So it's early, I don't have all the answers yet, but if you have questions, drop them below and I'll do my best to answer them as we work through this process. I'll know a whole lot more after I get my hands on the materials and start actually putting the well pump down the well. If you are just curious, I will leave a link to RPS's website down below. They have a really great tool on their website where you can input the size of your pond, where you are in the country, etc. And it will tell you the size of pump you would need or the gallons per day you would need to be pumping into your pond to keep up with evaporation. And they don't collect your information if you don't want them to. No name, email, phone number required. So you can at least go check it out and, you know, start answering some questions for yourself. That's where I started. Also, if you're not wanting to pump from a well, you can pump from a stream or a tank to tank. They have solar powered water pumps for just about every application. Livestock, irrigation, ponds. If you want to pump water into a fountain. And while the one I'm getting cannot be backed up by batteries, some of theirs can be. However, the one I'm getting can be hooked up to a generator. If I wanted to run a generator when it's not sunny, I could to pump water into the pond. Or it can be backed up by the grid. So in theory, if I wanted to pump 24/7, use solar during the day and electricity at night. Some of their other models have battery backup. This one just does not offer that. They also make pumps that are not solar and just directly wired to the grid. So that's always an option. So if you say we are 18 inches low, that means we roughly need 488,000 gallons of water to make this thing full. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. It's going to really change things out here and honestly make a few other projects for me. Closing up that cut back there for all that currently drains into the pond and how water bottom feeds from the overflow. I have to put a gate valve in there. Maybe I'll just leave that boat there and we'll just let the pond come up and pick the boat up. when we're full, the water level should be just about the base of that pole there, which helps me get more sand in the water. Sweet. So hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.